Okay, Callaway Elyte Triple Diamond. It was kind of a tour model, the Triple Diamond, back in the day, and then they released it to the public.
Right.
And now, I think the year before, they went to a Triple Diamond Max. It was like a tour model again, and they released it to the public. And now we're at the Elyte, and they've gone, okay, we're going to have another tour model, the TD Triple Diamond Tour Draw. So there's 3 Elyte Triple Diamonds this year.
Right. I've actually played this driver, and I played the original one, which I really like, and hit it pretty straight. I'm not the lowest handicap, but you know, it goes really well. They've got now 2 more. Haven't really played with those much yet, so I'm kind of curious to see what happens differently. You know, they're all kind of the only downside to the previous year model is a lot of people that spun too little.
Didn't
right,
get
so it
enough.
just fell out of the sky.
Yep.
And the previous model was pretty fade biased too. So you know, when the Max came out, I used that one, and I loved that one. That was great. Now we got this one, and I don't know which one to go to. So let's find out.
Well, that question right there is why we're doing this. This is for you guys. You're in there. You're like, okay, I like the Triple Diamond. What is the Max going to do for me? What is the Tour Draw going to do for me? This video is going to give you the answer. So, first test we're going to do is on the robot live test. We're going to do 100 miles an hour. Right. Just hit them out the center and see the differences. But back of house, we've done 115 miles an hour test, which obviously is more for this player.
Yeah, you're going to see more at that speed too. Right? Everything gets further out, so you see more dispersion. Yeah, see bigger differences. Yeah.
And we've captured all of the right numbers on that. You know, scientifically verified. Dr. Tom Mace has done the graphs. So first things first, we've kind of got everything in this order. We've got the Triple Diamond, then we've got the Max, and then we've got the Tour Draw. And we've got the Triple Diamond in the robot right now. So let's hit that with a 100 mile an hour test.
All right.
2 degrees up. Out of the center. I'd say these aren't for 100 mile an hour, but the forgiveness I've seen.
I was swinging 100 miles an hour, maybe 88 or 89, 99 rather, 97. And I use the driver, so yeah, why not?
Okay, well, 145, 146 ball speed.
That's...
Angle of attack was good. We got, where's the RPMs here? Backspin, 2200, so not world ending.
Nope.
Like, it's not falling out of the sky.
Nope.
And that's the interesting one when we sat down with Callaway and we talked about all of their models this year. They're placing their core model, just the Elyte, as a lower spin product than the Triple Diamond.
Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it?
In your head, it kind of confuses you, but then you see all these tour players and they're going backwards to core models to get more spin. So I guess they're kind of building the package for the tour player.
Yeah, that is. I mean, basically, the tour players kind of do like to work the ball, and as you get lower and lower in spin, it cuts all that out.
Yeah.
So, like I said, the previous model of this, the year before, was really low spin. So they've actually added a bit, which makes it a little more playable for everybody.
And it makes it playable at this speed too.
Right.
So carried it 250 with those metrics, launched at 12 degrees, so 2 and a bit degrees up at 9 degree head.
Yep.
And we've got a land angle of 32. So on that back end, that's landing kind of shallow. It's chasing
it's definitely going to roll a long way, that's for sure.
And what we saw in this test is just the basic one. It's more like a little pull. There's not much draw there.
Nope.
Kind of neutral, let's call that one, yeah?
Yeah, that was pretty neutral.
Okay, next on the list, we're going to hit the Triple Diamond Max.
Right.
And I've just got to snap it in the robot and we're going to go.
All right, let's put it on.
Okay.
Pretty similar flight.
Started a little straighter.
Yeah.
Ball speed's down, tiny bit there.
It's kind of what we saw in the bigger test, yeah.
Right. RPMs are up. Spin rate
again
up. Not a crazy amount, but a little bit.
Well, it's a little lower speed too.
Right.
115, you'll see more. So
only 100 or so RPMs.
Yep.
And the land angle's up, obviously. Yeah, but
right.
Gets up there on the back end, so it is coming a bit steeper. Okay, so green flight is the Max, a little higher. Distance-wise, 250 carry versus 247.
Yeah, 2 yards.
Right, a little bit of ball speed, but you'd think that a little more spin at 100 mile an hour would kind of help keep it in the air a little. So it's obviously the ball speed just gave it that little punch through with the regular Triple Diamond. And did it draw any more? It's actually about the same because the Triple Diamond started a little more left.
Right.
That was the only difference there. Okay, so Tour Draw.
Should draw some more, right?
Sure, should draw some more. So TD, Tour, Triple Diamond Tour Draw. Let's snap it in and see what we get.
Okay.
And this sounds like the driver for you, right? You like seeing
more
you
would
draw.
think so, right. As a matter of fact, I have the regular one, like I said, which I really like, but I did put a bunch of heel weight here, so I basically turned it into a draw.
Draw fine. Okay. Well, I think that's what it is. When you look down at the heads, there's nothing that's like shut face or adjustable weight. It's all internal.
It's very similar. Everything's internal, yeah.
Okay, so let's take a look at the table to start us off with here. So club speeds, the Triple Diamond Max was tiny bit lower in club speed. The triple diamond gave us the best ball on this 100-mile-an-hour test, 145.6. The other two were identical, 144, let's call it, average it up a little bit. And then we've got the spin rate in the TD being the highest at 2400, but very close. And the triple diamond was the lowest, which makes sense, right? Other than I would have thought the TD with the heel weight would be maybe a little lower spin.
Yeah, maybe. But
we didn't see it.
It's just one shot too, right? And we didn't
yeah.
check these numbers exactly right. So let's look at the real data for that. Make a call on that one.
250 carry with the triple diamond, and then 248 with both of the other ones. And they all launched, actually this is a good example. They launched at 12.9 in the max and the tour draw, but in the normal one, it launched at 11.7. So another degree lower, just a hair over a degree.
That's where you get the more ball speed from.
Right.
Right.
And then let's have a little look at this flight pattern of all three here. So in this case, we didn't even see the tour draw more.
Yeah, well, we didn't check the face angle either.
Right.
So, yeah.
That face was in a similar spot, but nothing crazy. But they all did finish left of the line, which is interesting.
Right.
And the tour draw and the max at the same height, and the regular triple diamond at the lower height. Pretty interesting.
Yeah, I mean, these three drivers are pretty close, right? I mean, this is designed to dial the tour players in.
That's
so you've got very small differences here, and tour players are very consistent, so they can do that. You know, for the average golfer, I mean, I'm a pretty good ball striker. I don't miss a lot of fairways and hit it pretty solid. It'd be tough for me to see the difference between these things.
Yeah.
Especially at 100 miles an hour, 97 or whatever I'm at. Yeah. As you get up to higher speeds, then you see the differences really start playing a bigger effect.
Well, let's do that.
Right.
Let's take a look at this test. This was 2 degrees up.
Right.
At 115 miles an hour, and we used the 9 degrees heads. Callaway sent us 9 degrees for these, which makes sense.
Makes sense.
And actually, Callaway sent us all of the tour heads on these, so they were all checked for loft, they were all checked for lie, they all had CT measured on the face, so this was a real tour experience on the head. The MOIs, so the MOI is largest in the max.
Makes sense, right?
TD and the regular triple diamond, so the tour draw and the regular triple are about the same.
Yep.
CG depth is the most back in the max.
Right, that's where they get the higher MOI from.
Yep. Ball speed, exactly what we saw in the 100-mile test, but a little accentuated. 2 miles an hour, almost 1.5 miles an hour faster in the regular version than the other two.
Kind of makes sense if you think about it, right? So on the max, they move the CG back, which lowers your ball speed.
Yep.
Makes it more forgiving, but it lowers your ball speed. There's your trade-off. And in the TD, they've got the weight more towards the heel.
Yep.
Again, it's not deadly aligned with the face, so it's designed to draw a little more. So again, you lose a little bit of ball speed.
Little
so
touch.
There's a tiny bit of a trade-off there.
Exactly what we saw in the 100 miles an hour test. Lowest launching at 12 degrees or just under in the regular one. And then the highest launching was the tour draw, which is kind of what we saw in this too. And the max was in the middle, but there's still a degree more launch in both the max and the tour draw. So if you're looking for that tour shape head, but you do want that extra bit of flight, going to the max or the TD is going to help.
Yep.
Spin rate, the max was the most. Makes sense again.
Right.
We've seen that with CG as you move it back. Sometimes it doesn't add spin.
Right.
But in this case, it's...
Well, in this case, everything else is equal, right? I mean, other than that, it's pretty much similar everywhere else. Normally, when you see that, you see a different model entirely, right? So you're talking about doing the core and the tour version or the, the high handicap version.
True.
So you're definitely moving a lot of other things as well. So you'd expect these to be relatively close.
Okay, and now the big one is the center tilt, and you've got the better information on the graph, which will show it, but basically it showed on the numbers, the regular version was basically dead neutral, 1 degree tilted to the right, the max was a baby draw, 4 degrees to the left, and the tour draw was 7.6 degrees to the left.
That's pretty cool. We can see exactly what
exactly what
Callaway
right?
Exactly. So they definitely are doing what they say they do.
And now you've got the harder job here to break down this graphical data.
Yeah, it's kind of difficult here because obviously you can see, the right and left you see, but the circles are definitely different sizes.
They're all pretty consistent from the middle.
They're all pretty consistent, yeah. I mean, they're not that different. I mean, the only big difference is, really, is obviously, the longest one is the regular one.
Yep.
Right, because they're not manipulating the CG and moving it around to make it more forgiving or make it draw, so you get a little more ball speed, and that's why. But the other two are similar.
Right.
There's not that much difference.
You're just paying for, the max is going to give you a little more flight, a little more spin, and the draw is going to give you a fair amount more draw.
Yep. And you're going to see that at 150 miles an hour. At my speed, like 97, I tried these a little bit, and I haven't played around with them a lot, but, Yeah, that's really difficult to tell. Golfers are not as consistent as a robot, so you got other inconsistencies coming in there. Not swinging exactly the same path and the same exact launch angle. So it definitely is different.
But we're talking to a little bit of a different audience here. When you're looking at these drivers,
Right.
you'd hope that your average Joe's not walking in saying, "I want the triple diamond." Having said that, people would, because it's a very good performing, forgiving driver.
Yep.
If you're looking at these guys that are decent golfers, there's this weird trade-off where it's like, do I want that 1 and a bit extra mile an hour,
Right.
or do I really need the draw?
Yeah, I
And
mean, this is me at 97 miles an hour. I'm trying to figure out which one I really need here.
Yeah.
I've taken the standard one before he came out and put some weight in the heel to make it into a draw, which I hit really good. The only thing I could see maybe is go to the max, it's a little more forgiving, but I'm not sure I want to give up the ball speed. Right? So there's the trade-off, right? So, it's a difficult decision on these, and they're all really close. So let me fill in a little bit. I swing up on it 5 degrees.
Right.
So I'm using a 9-degree driver, actually set at 8, because I'm adding a ton of loft. Most people at 97 miles an hour are not going to hit it high enough.
No, probably going to play at 10.5 degree anyway.
Exactly. So unless you swing really up at it, I'd probably stay away from these things under 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I don't know if we get more answers or more questions after we do
I don't know
this.
either. I'm kind of torn between myself, the Rego, and the Max, right?
Yeah. But that's the reason. Get to a CoolClubs, get your tour fitting experience, or head to a worldwide golf retail location. Check these out in person. Speak with an in-store expert to get the advice on which Elyte triple diamond driver might be right for you. This is an interesting topic, so jump in the comments. Let us know what you think. Let us know your personal experience, because we're down to such fine things here that personal experience is going to tell us a lot.
Absolutely. Yeah.